There is the chance for a gyrocopter to benefit off of that if they want to. You mentioned Arc Warden could slide out, although Yangon Galacticos do take the Ember Spirit on hand, so they've got mobility to kind of catch out the Arc Warden if it does come through, especially when Ember gets Ags. He can kind of punish that Tempest double, take it out, and just prevent the split push from going out of control. So I think YG set themselves up well. They get the Mirana now as their pause 4. They have a decent combination for that. Frostbite into Arrow is relatively easy to land once Frostbite's leveled up. Initial levels, the hold on heroes isn't amazing. But down the line, you do have that combination. Searing Chains can kind of work too if you can land them. So you do have some good aggression coming through.
Oh.
Motivate.Trust, yeah, with a Void. Not a big fan still, but at least you've got Cataclysm, I guess.
They've got the they've got the Cataclysm setup, and I think that's the point, right? If this was a naked Void without the Invoker, I'd say, you know, oh no, here we go again, another Void pickup, it's gonna be trash. But with the Invoker, Cataclysm, it's just so good. Like 2 Sunstrikes on each target. What is that? Like 900 pure damage, I think, at max. Obviously, with the refresher, you get even more Cataclysm, which is the massive timing. If you get to that super late game, you're always going to have that Chrono double Cataclysm comeback potential if you did somehow fall behind for Motivate. So I do think even with just the Sunstrike Chrono, it's probably going to be enough damage added on in that Chrono to actually get through somebody's HP. Even though, yeah, this Void maybe just lacks a lot of damage right now in the current meta. Still, John, that does leave Motivate with one hero to pick up. Believe they are still looking for a Q hero, if I'm not wrong. Could be set 0 as well, depending on where they want the Ench to go. Any kind of heroes you'd like to see? They still have the Monkey as well, by the way.
Yeah. The Monkey could work well. I mean, you've got Mars there with the Arena, so you could play Arena Wukongs, which on a support Monkey doesn't feel amazing, but it's still a decent amount of damage in the AoE. You can kind of use that as follow-up for the Chrono as well, or just to set up the Chrono, have catch people out, maybe get a nice Jingu off, and then just trap them in with the Chrono afterward, throw out your Wukongs if you need to clean up more, and go from there. The information game is very helpful. You don't have to worry about Hawks in this game scouting you out on a Monkey King. No flying vision source with Night Stalker banned out as well. So we'll see if that is something Motivate.Trust want to dip into. I think it will enable that more aggressive playstyle. I think you might want maybe more value in the Chrono. Perhaps something like a support Jakiro could work out as well. Like just having, say, Chrono plus Cataclysm down the line. But initially, Chrono plus just Liquid Fire. Chrono plus Macro Pyre could be really good. So I think that could be a nice way of bring it about for Motivate.Trust, gives them some early push potential as well, as they don't really have the best ways of melting towers. Not particularly fast. Although YG as well, to be fair, doesn't, but they have a Terrorblade, which hits a lot harder, a lot faster early on. So we'll see what they do close out. Monkey King could fit, but I'd prefer a Jack, and YG do get a counter to the Faceless Void to an extent. You've got the swap to save the target inside, or to just take the Void outside and kind of cancel out the spell. So they do have one way of answering that combination from Motivate.Trust, and that does make the Void just a little bit more awkward here.
Well, Motivate, they've still got one support pick to make. It must be a position 5 Ench we're looking at here. I do think we are looking for a Q hero, because you're not going to want to lane the Ench against the Crystal Maiden. You know, we just saw what happened to Zorain with his poor boars. You don't really want to do that with an enchanted creep, though. I was also going to bring up the fact that Ench got buffed today. Oh! It's a support Void, Jonathan. That's what we're looking at.
Oh, this is great.
There you go.
Like the last time the Void came out, I was saying it preferred support. Here it is. So it makes sense now. It all makes sense. They've got the Cataclysm setup coming through with a Faceless Void. The counter pick and Venge is kind of canceled out because Void doesn't care. He's a support. So it's not a big value spell to take out, and the Sven can just lay in and hit. The issue is getting your Sven damage into Chrono, probably not easy. You have to catch him on the edge, and that's not really something you can rely on too much. But we'll have to see how Q does. We'll have to see if he matches that standard we know from Red Panda in China to kind of have that impact. And I'm keen to see what he does in this game.
He's been doing a great job on the Monkey King. You give him that. Mind you, MK got nerfed today, so fair enough. He wants to try something different. Picks up the Void instead. Jackie takes the Sven for himself. Bit of mind games here from Motivate.Trust Gaming. I love it though. I really do. Should make it for a very exciting game. The combo's still there. Cataclysm, Sunstrike, Chrono, all of it's still available. And going back to the Ench for a second, Jonathan, it got buffed. Impetus now 10 mana less, so instead of 65 mana, it's 55 mana. I think that's a pretty decent buff for the Enchantress. I do wonder though whether Motivate.Trust are going to try and run the enchant style Enchantress, because I think that is still the stronger way to play it, or whether they are going to run the Impetus style. And you know, the Impetus style won't be so bad into Venge, because she can't really fight back very effectively. I suppose only time's going to tell.
Yeah, I think in that lane up against a Venge Mirana, we've seen that before, right? Like the magic missile and arrow is pretty hard to land, but I think the counterfoil to that for the Ench is that you've got a Mirana. So
Right.
she can just arrow down your large creep. There might be more value anyway in going for the Impetus. We'll have to see. It's one of those changes, right? We underestimated CM's mana cost change. It could be pretty impactful for the Ench in her early trades as well, with that Impetus being down 10 mana.
Well, John, give it to me. Hard question. Before we get into game number 2, who has the more favorable draft going into this game?
I mean, on paper, if you look at YG's draft, it makes a lot more sense. But I'm going to lean towards Motivate.Trust. Like, I have to hand it to YG. This draft is solid. Like, they've got good synergy with Terrorblade Venge. They have good synergy with the CM Mirana as well, with the Frostbite Arrow. They have good momentum coming through from the Ember mid. I just feel like Motivate.Trust have a very strong combination that's hard to play against. Their Venge sort of counter pick on the offlane for the Void is just counteracted by the fact that it's support. So I think Motivate.Trust can pull off what they want here.
Arrow, nice setup. Masaros already going to be taking a lot of damage. He'll turn for a God's Rebuke, but the Frostbite's going to kick in. First Blood will go the way of Howl. The perfect start for YG in this game too already. You really couldn't have asked for a better start, giving the bonus gold over to the Terrorblade. Always going to be nice, and they've already started with the voice line spam. You love to see it.
Yeah, feeling confident. I think they realize their draft is a lot easier to pull off. Whereas for Motivate, it's a lot less standard. So we'll have to see if they can, hit those timings, hit the Ags refresh on the Invoker, and if they can kind of get some presence on Q. Like the laning phase for that Void 5 is the hardest part. You really do have to teeter on the edge with a Time Walk, but if you can get some EXP flowing, you're pretty alright there.
Uh-oh, Q. It gets caught out. Frostbite chains are there. They'll get another kill. This one to go the way of young PH. So your POS 1 gets a first blood kill. Your mid laner gets a second kill going for himself. I mean, you really couldn't be happier if you're YG right now.
Yeah, it's the perfect start. This is going to accelerate that bottle timing for young PH. Mid matchup for him against the Invoker. It's not too bad. I think the Invoker can still hold back and still farm up. No big threat for him to be zoned out. And I like that Fearless actually goes for the initial Wex. So he's just slowly twacking away at young PH's mana pool. He did have to opt for level 1 Searing Chains to get those first blood opportunities, so it's not very protected and can't really clear out the creep wave without the Flame Guard. It should equalize by level 2, but Fearless can kind of hold its own here and just do fine.
That he can. The top lane will be gone. Sven, of course, Jackie's going to be there against Zorain. Zorain having such a tough lane last game around. Hopefully has a decent one this time. Of course, he's going to be supported by Skill Lay on the Mirana, and you are going to have set 0 there on the Ench. And he does end up going for level 1 Impetus. I suppose that is fairly normal, but we'll see if he keeps it at level 1. We'll see if he goes to kind of max it out. But for now, level 1 Impetus is definitely the way to go, I think. I mean, just not giving the value to Skill Lay with the neutral camps, and you can just abuse the Impetus so much against the short-range hero like the Venge.
Yeah, it can feel a bit awkward for Zorain once that Zero sets his eyes on him. Although, somehow, first a kill for them.
Don't ask me how, Johnny only has Time Walk right now. Looks like Masaros would have set up there with the God's Rebuke and the Spear. Yeah, the positive thing is, though, like against CM, it's just such an easy kill. If you do catch her out with one stun, she is more than likely just going to die.
Yeah, the value for CM with this changed Frostbite is using the spell twice, and again, on heroes, the duration level 1's 1.5. So what he needs to do to maximize it in this lane is just focus on the camps. They did even get a pull off on Motivate.Trust, so they're cutting off some of that camp access. And if you can't maximize that initial gain on the CM, it does feel lackluster, although they lock in Q for a bit.
Set Zero goes down top lane, and now Jackie gets a return kill. Q-Bot is going to be okay. Master Rossi ends up spearing away Hal, understanding that the Metamorphosis damage is going to be quite annoying to deal with. But yeah, top lane, support's being traded. I say supports, Zorain, he is a core Venge, but he does end up going down to Jackie, and it does make it seem like a favorable trade for Motivate.
As they're finding more in...
Oh, Hal. That's a big pickoff. And it's that classic time dilation skill build up here for Q. They won't have enough yet. Masaros spear off the mark. Nice position there from Hal. Reading that the spear was coming. Reflection out now. Q, he wants to go right in for a dive, but can't do it. Lun will break the gap, or rather block the gap that was available. And in the end, YG, they will keep Hal alive.
Yeah, he is off to a slightly slower start in terms of farm, though. Jackie's having a little bit of a better time. Love the aggression coming out from Motivate.Trust. They know that they are fairly tanky in these two heroes. Void in general is just hard to lock in. And Set Zero, though, dropping low.
Voice lines are good and all for Set Zero, but Ench is still a very squishy hero, so even if you miss the magic missile arrow setup, you can still easily get the kill with the right clicks. Of course, she doesn't have the untouchable yet, so definitely not impossible to just get the kill. Skill A, looks like he's going to start rotating over as well. Into the mid lane, start annoying Fearless a bit on the Invoker. See if you can set up a kill here for Young PH on the Ember.
Yeah, and the one thing for Invoker mid, it doesn't feel like he clears out the side camps very well. You do have that initial Forge Spirit, though, to maybe help the cause, but that's something that Young PH can abuse, and the side of YG in general can build up off. Like, they just flash farm a bit faster in that Ember mid. The Invoker's timings are a bit slower. You see Fearless already opting for the Hand of Midas queued up. So he's going to have to just play this game safe, play this game slow. And if you do get that chain and arrow combination, you can line up. It looks like Skill A is a bit more interested in just making this game hellish for Set Zero. Just give Zalrain a lane to play with. And so far, this game 2 is looking a bit better for Zalrain, but he's still lagging behind in farm. 16-2 in CS, not stopping Jackie at all. I think Set Zero's still doing his job, dying for his core.
4-2 now. Slight net worth lead for Motivate. Even if the kill score is the other way. You know, that's one thing I'd like to see, by the way, John. If we can go on a bit of a tangent here for a second. In fact, hold that thought. No, never mind. It's just Set Zero and Skill A going at it. But one thing I'd love to see in the next patch after TI is hero kills being more worthwhile. Because right now it feels like that's why we have this major stacking in jungle meta, especially with the cores, is because kills just mean they're kind of like whatever.
Yeah, they're nice, but they're not game breaking in the early game. You can still recover because of that jungle. I think they did try to touch down on that in this patch by nerfing stacking just a bit, but it's still not enough. So we're still seeing the effects of it. They are trying to make moves on Monsters, though he is low, but Bulwark is a fairly hard spell to just kind of brute force through, and it's just going to be fine.
Yeah, on the brighter side though, like if you're Hal right now, you're having a very good time. 32-4. He is 4 CS behind Jackie, but you're going to be okay because you are going to be able to just pretty much farm the whole jungle as the TB with all these illusions. We'll start moving in onto Q. Time dilation is out. He'll time walk away. Meanwhile, Masteros moved in. Crystal Nova's going to slow him up. Meanwhile, Lun going to get hit here by Q. Q is playing very risky and he gets the flash. Oh, Q, he must be a gambling man, John. Yeah, he won that bet, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, he had a really lucky roll with the bashes there and does win out in the end. And going off at a really good start, 43, rather even game. The state of the laning phase again for YG is not as bad. And, oh, Fearless. Ooh, good block.
Gonna be alright for now. Young PH, Remnant forward. Fearless dropping very low. Stormhammer there. Jackie gonna at least try and trade and does kill off one. But they get Fearless. Can Young PH get out? It doesn't seem like it. Double kill to go the way of Jackie. And usually I'd say that's more favorable for the side of YG because they got the kill on the Invoker first, but you gave a double to Jackie. That's never going to be good news.
No, like that sets the Sven up really nicely. He leaves lane, but he already got a lot from lane anyway. It's not like you slow down Avenge as well. Zalrain, sure he gets a solo lane, but his job slowing down the Sven's not there. He does hit his level 6 spike, so he can look for kills. Arrow.
Oh, nice swap into the arrow. The neutral camp would have blocked that arrow for sure, but Zorain making sure it does connect onto set 0. They're already making this Enchantress's life very difficult. So this is going to be the third death already for set 0. And Zorain, I'm sure he remembers what happened last game, John. He wants his revenge. And so far, the revenge is working out quite nicely.
Yeah, it's building up. They should be able to get a good push going up top with a wave just coming in. Still ways off from the first for next siege creep, but so far they're applying that pressure. Issue is the Sven's already comfy leaving that lane. Jackie's lining up bot. Hao has had to switch over to the jungle. He does have a huge level deficit with his Sven. Still level 6 on that TB, level 8 on Jackie, which means max rate cleave, and he even has the broom handle to get some more damage out and clearing out these camps. So should be set up to start flash farming on that Sven, and maybe even lining up for that push bot. God's Strength, just 10 seconds off. They could look to go for a tower trade at the end.
Rain it down. They're going to go straight after the CM. Swap out, though, from Zorain to try and help, and it does work out. In fact, Arrow is going to come in. Skill lay. Lands it very nicely. Masteros going to put the shield up again. Is it going to be enough?
Oh.
It may just be. Zorain, he needs to land that magic missile. He's not going to have the range nor the vision. And they'll salve up Masteros. He'll be able to sustain. Oh, maybe not. He came back out. Zorain's going to get the stun this time. And Masteros is indeed going to drop eventually. And YG able to take the top tier 1 tower. Cheeky Sunstrike from Fearless is going to be off the mark.
They do find the tower, but it ends up being a trade as the bot tier 1 already falls. So you're just going to be happy with killing off a nice core in that Mars. The side of Motivate.Trust, still rather even 7-5, slight kill lead for YG. They are starting to invade that top jungle, which seems to be key when you're playing against Jackie. Just take away his farm sources, take away that safe space for him to build up, and start applying pressure on the map that way. There are not many ancient stacks built up at all for the Sven, so even if he gets this quick Mask of Madness timing, he's not really getting too much gold out of it. And I think that's the key thing. Keeping this net worth lead down, delaying the spikes of Motivate.Trust just helps your cause so much in YG. You're even applying pressure in the mid already, and I mean they will have arena up in a bit, but the rest of YG are climbing the clump around mid as well.
Nice dodge there from young PH on the tornado of Fearless. Arrow not going to land. Jackie move back into that triangle now, but I do really enjoy what YG is doing, just getting very aggressive with their draft. They understand how much earlier they can fight on their end of things. Mind you, speaking of fighting, you do have Chrono up on Q now, so he might be able to make use of that. Sunstrike, not going to do too much damage, but if you catch young PH, you might be able to follow up with an arrow. And Fearless, he's also got the Chaos Meteor up. So it might in fact be enough. In fact, now the Chrono's down. Arena going to hold him in with the spear out into the Chaos Meteor, and they'll get him. It looks like a lot committed, but don't forget, this is a support Void. So they're more than happy to use the Chrono like that.
Yeah, they just want his initial kills to kill off the big core. Smoke play though.
They're going to find set 0 though. I mean, it's a kill's a kill, but it's not what they wanted. You could tell they didn't really have the faith they could get through Masteros. So again, that Bulwark does cause a lot of problems for all these ranged heroes. So they won't even bother trying.
Yeah, and they should reline for mid. It feels like they really want this objective gone. They are getting that plump up here. We'll see if the commitment's enough. There's no Chrono for 2 minutes, so they're not going to have that big defensive spell. The arena's down for a little bit longer as well, 40 seconds off. So they should be able to get some good damage onto that tower.
Hang it out, swap in now.
Ooh.
Maybe they could deal with Masteros and they'll get him. Q, he's out with the time dilation. Jackie's going to join the fray right after Lan on the CM, but there's your freezing field out. It's doing quite a bit of damage. In fact, Jackie, he's dropping low. They will lose the CM, but they might get the Sven, and they will. Young PH, he picks it up onto Q. They might even get the Void, and they get him. Double kill for the Ember. And that was a very nice freezing field out from Lan, just standing his ground. And suddenly YG, they're on to the mid-tier 1 tower.
they clear it up, and the side of Motivate just taking that fight a bit preemptively. Like, they get punished for it this time around. They don't really they didn't really have the spells to defend, and I'm surprised they really forced the issue out as hard as they did. Um, Big pickups for YG with a mid-tier one gone. Top jungle, it's a bit easier to access. The triangle, it's easier to access as well. Map space shrinking a bit for where Jackie wants to build up. He needs a BKB, is trying to rush it. Still a ways off, and again, they haven't been able to build too many stacks up for the Sven. So his flash farm potential is just not lining up. The side of YG, sure, you're terribly, it's still slightly behind Sven. That's to be expected. The fact that you're close to the Sven like this, within 1k, is already more than good news for you. Motivate.Trust, they have control of the bot jungle. They just need to play around this area, keep building up farm, and just wait for those item timings. Wait for your ults to be back up, and go from there.
Zorain trying to escape this arena. Masaros eventually going to land the spear. Young PH though has joined in. Arrow is there as well, but it helps really nobody. And Sleight of Fist, Remnant back in. There goes Masaros. It was a bit of a long duration Remnant, but it won't matter. Jackie, he's going to try and join. Chrono committed, will hold down the Ember, but are you going to have enough follow-up? God strength in 3 seconds. He needs it right now though. Another chain's out. Set Zero caught. Stormhammer is juked up for a moment as a triple kill there for Young PH. Onto Jackie now. That's the big target they'd love. He has the God strength, but he might have to fight this one out. Skill A, he'll get out of there. Freezing Field to lock him down, and they'll get an ultra kill out for Young PH. 8-2-1 at the 13.5-minute mark, John. Just great news for Young PH and YG.
I'm just surprised Motivate.Trust are willing to keep taking these staggered fights. Their team fight's really strong, but streaming in sort of one by one like that, they don't respect the control and the damage of YG at this point. They do so much magical damage. We've seen that swap arrow play so many times from Zalrain and from Skill A. It just always gives them an easy way of getting those kills. Now, for Motivate.Trust, they are buying space for Fearless. Right? The Ags is slowly being built into, just lacking one part now with the gold he has, so 1,000 gold away. They need to just hold out until the Ags timing now. They need to just wait for Cataclysm to be up, and then you start cleaning up these fights. You just don't have enough damage on your Sven to hope that Chrono plus God Strength is enough.
Set Zero. Well, Arrow's going to be taken by the neutral camp. No chance of that arrow connecting. Maelstrom now up on your Ember. He's already been doing a fantastic job, but even more damage now on the Ember Spirit. Motivate.Trust, I think you start to get a little bit afraid now with the way these team fights have been going. Masaros, he'll drop the arena. But the Sunstrike is there, and Lun, he is going to get blown up. Nice little pick up on the CM. And Skill A, he's going for a bit more, it looks like. I don't think he should go up that high ground. He doesn't. He will back. Young PH is here now, however. You might be able to set something up. Sleight of Fist. Gonna give the information they need to keep chasing. Set Zero. It might be a bit of a slower kill, but eventually you will get it. And another one. Q comes in for a time dilation, but all that's gonna do is annoy the Ember. It's definitely not gonna mean his life, though.
Yeah, it's buying space, or at least some time for Jack to get the TP out. So you should be able to bail out. Moonlight Shadow was under a ward, so that should mean Motivate.Trust will avoid the brunt of that rotation. Maybe they catch out Q though, as he is still hanging around.
Q, Chrono is up. Skill A. Gonna be spotted here underneath the sentry. Q, he'll go in. Chrono and Cataclysm is available already. He'll swap them out on the Ember, but it won't matter. They got him down. A lot of gold to go the way of Motivate.Trust as now Zorain's been caught out. They'll try to fight Q. Zorain, he's going to keep going with this illusion, but now Jackie's shown up. He just tears apart the Crystal Maiden. And Zorain, he's still on the run with this illusion, but it will go. And we didn't realize, John. We didn't pick up on it, but Fearless, he already has the Axa.
Yeah, that was surprisingly fast. Last time I checked, he was still 1,000 gold away, and I think that was like a minute before that entire movement happened on bot. So he had tons of space. Basically, top jungle was his. So they hit this timing now in Motivate.Trust. They've got the Kata and Chrono combination, and it is really, really strong. YG, should be a little bit more cautious to get caught out like that. And really good play from Q standing behind his obs and sentry combination after he found that moonlight play with her forward ward. And they are hitting stride. It's still not too bad for YG. You know, your Terrorblade's building up farm. Is working towards the Scotty next, has the SNY and Dragonlance. They've dropped a lot of good wards surrounding the Roche Pit. They could look to maybe consider that objective down the line, especially with the Chrono being on a long cooldown. They've got a lot of time to go in, and they do rush. They know it's about a minute for the Chrono next. The Cataclysm is going to be up shortly. Perhaps they could scout out with the Invoker instead and choose to go in just with the Arena.
Arrow gonna help out. Roshan completely free here for YG. No contest for Motivate. They're not feeling it. Another big pickup. YG, they'll get away scot-free. And Hal, he's getting very close to that Scotty pickup now, and that's when you've got to start getting very concerned if you're this Sven. Jackie working towards the BKB, but that Scotty does not care for it whatsoever. You are going to start to look towards that Blink Dagger if you're Jackie to not get kited around. See how he makes it work. For now, YG does feel like they're still in the driver's seat in this game. You're looking for them to make a play as Lun. He's got a spidey sense tingling right now. Masaros. Oh, he spots him. Oh, Masaros, he's trapped up as well. You've got to know him, Masaros. He doesn't realize why he's stuck. Frostbite is there. Arrow to come in, and it does land. Cataclysm. They'll still kill Lun off. You got something for it, I guess. It's not worth the life of Masaros, but it's something.
Yep. I guess in the end, he does break off the Moonlight rotation. So instead of hunting in the bot jungle and the triangle, they jump Masaros instead, which buys space out for Jackie, buys space out for Fearless. These are the cores that will scale into the late game. And these are the cores whose farm matters. So as long as you're keeping up on those two heroes, I don't think you mind losing your Mars at this point, considering that he's really just there to drop Arena and take some hits with his Bulwark. Side of YG though, again, they've got the protection of the Aegis. They are inching closer towards young PH's Ag's timing on the Ember. It's halfway there, just about. And once he has that up, holding down the Ember is really just going to be down to Chrono. Q has to constantly be targeting that Ember Spirit to get the control off, get set up for the damage with the Cataclysm, and just run from there. The BKB is also up now on Jackie, so the magical damage and control being offered from the side of YG is not going to really hold him down for too much. But again, with the Scotty inching closer for how effective the BKB is going to be remains to be seen. He's still a fairly kiteable hero. And YG, they're just playing around the top area for the most part, just taking control of that top jungle. Motivate.Trust is doing the right thing, playing the opposite side. They did take the tier 2 first, so they've got outpost control. And the side of YG haven't quite lined up for the push yet, although they are sending Hao up top. Metamorphosis is ready, but I think he kind of wants to save that for a fight, so just try to brute force through it with all the heroes up here.
They should be able to get it eventually. You've got the glyph, but it's only going to delay things. Still, I mean, the bot tier 2 did drop to Motivate, so they've already traded evenly. They'll be okay with this trade. No response to try and defend, though. They'll accept that YG is a little bit frightening right now. As bot lane, instead, they are going to jump in onto young PH. They want the Ember, but a nice swap out is going to mean he won't get dropped. In fact, it's a lot of damage with the Sleight of Fist. Arrow to come in. Chaos Meteor to help, but it will not be enough. Q and Masaros has both died, and now they're onto Fearless. They've got the Invoker down. They want the fourth, and they'll get set 0, I think. High five. Set 0, he won't return it.
I think Masaros ended up just using Sunstrike instead of Cataclysm, so they didn't use their big damage spell, because what happens is with a swap, you still get some damage off, and of course you might hit a couple of the other heroes as well. They didn't manage to use the Chrono combination though. Arena alone is not enough to set up for all of that damage coming through, and this is a big opening for YG. Mid tier 2 not going to stand for too long. All Jackie can do now is just keep farming. He will have his blink up for the next fight, but that does leave him with no buyback. Has to be a bit cautious here.
Bot lane could be a big smoke up. Jackie, he's going to bait for the team. Motivate.Trust hang around behind him, see what they can find. How be a primary candidate to try and jump. Was underneath an observer ward, but that'll be dewatered now by Lun. Motivate, though, still have tabs. They're just trying to move in. Young PH, he looks to be targeted. A spear is going to eventually land, and now the Cataclysm flies through, but the damage, it wasn't really that high. And now the turnaround, YG, they'll go for it. Masaros, he ends up dropping. Set Zero needs to run ASAP. Well, where did the damage go? Jackie? Well, there's your damage. The Sven shows up now. But it may be too late. Q, he's been caught. Hal, he'll go for the man fight. Jackie is trying. Arrow to fly through. It won't land. But the BKB is going to wear off, and Jackie needs an exit ASAP as Young PH will jump in. They want the Sven. Stormhammer's there, but the Yule Scepter, it'll hold him up. And now with the double chains out, they'll finish the job off. Jackie's gone. Aegis does expire, but who the hell cares about that? It's why, well, Hal's not even dying. Fearless, he's going to try and run. He'll make it out with the Ghost Walk. But the Cataclysm, John, it did nothing. What am I missing?
It might have just been down to the fact that Flame Guard was up. So he managed to absorb a ton of damage from that combination, and it just falls flat if the protection is there from YG. Now the mid C3 is going to be done. There's no Aegis left on Hal. Don't think it matters. They know Chrono's down for a long time. Really, the big pitfall with that Face's Void, it just doesn't have great uptime on the spells. They can try to stall the fight out with all the spells in the Invoker. It looks like YG is being cautious, piercing the high ground, as they aren't the healthiest at the moment.
Oh, spear out. Illusion still chasing him down. Zorain is going to be able to escape it eventually, and we'll get out on about 40 HP. Unless Fearless wants to chuck a cheeky Sunstrike out, and he did. It's just off the mark somewhere else on the map. Didn't quite get to see it. Zorain, he's going to be okay. Jackie, he'll keep farming triangle. Meanwhile, Young PH, gonna be just fine. They didn't have the spear to set up. In fact, Jackie now has been spotted. Lun does get the frostbite off Jackie. He's forced the BKB, but Hal, he's got the Iveskadi up. It's so much damage already. Tornado to fly through. Q is around to help Young PH. He gets him with the chains again, and Jackie, he's gonna drop. Set Zero will try and get himself out, but no, they've got the damage. Into the mid lane, Masaros has also been caught. A triple kill out for Hal. As Lun, he will bait Q forward, but it looks like Q is going to drop. An ultra kill out for our Terrorblade, and now they definitely want to try and force high ground. But the mid lane was forced in. Fearless creep skipping, not allowing them to be able to go high.
Yeah,
in fact, there goes your whole creep lane.
Out. Really good stall out from Fearless. They're trying to backdoor with Hal. He doesn't have enough damage to rip through that tier 3. So this is a lot of time being bought out by the Invoker. Respawn when the Face's Void is up. Chrono is available. So they could try to go for the Cataclysm play once more. Issue is the damage is starting to feel like it's tapering off a bit. Like, you definitely want your Sven to be able to hit, but even then, we've seen the Sven hit. It doesn't feel strong even with God Sven up.
Also, Rain, he's stuck. Spear back, they've got him. Everyone from Motivate's back now. Arena down. Zorain, the illusion is going to drop as well. Arrow will land on Jackie. So it does mean that they may not be able to chase for more. But right now, Motivate, they'll be okay to hold their high ground. In fact, no, they want more. But pings were out. The smoke, I think it may have been spotted. They pinged immediately.
They were just under the lingering vision of Creep Wave. We'll see if they still manage to catch. They do have Chrono. Young PH would be a big target. They have to be quick.
They're not going to find him, Fearless. He's trying. Now, oh. Young PH. Going to creep skip himself now. Kind of returning the favor. And you, I suppose you are at that broken point with the Ember now where you've got the eggs up, so you can just do that very easily. Mind you, he's left himself with no remnants. So he does have to be somewhat cautious, but he definitely saw the smoke. Because he knows they're not in the triangle. Otherwise, you wouldn't remnant that aggressively.
Yep. Yeah, good reads coming through from YG. Set of Motivate.Trust. Considering the state of the game, they're not that far behind. It's only a 1k lead for YG. So they are getting some good progression on their cores here on Motivate. Currently, Fearless is tops. I think you do want to start shifting towards Jackie now. He is trying to work onto the Silver Edge. And that should allow him to kind of walk around a bit more. Nice smoke from YG though.
Set Zero chained up. Arrow is going to be blocked by the neutral he had enchanted, but it won't matter. This little start. Both teams will be looking to try and secure that next Roshan. There's 20 seconds left for that Rosh to spawn up. They'll keep hanging around. Hal is going to see Q. TP's in immediately. They'd love to get this Void as well as the Chrono. It's going to be such an important kind of attribute to have in this next Roshan fight. But he will get away. Instead, Fearless was spotted. But he's also going to be able to just kind of outrun them. So YG desperately trying to find another pick-off, but are going to be unable to get it.
I think that stall out does favor Motivate.Trust a bit more. Again, they are still building up in the farm, trying to catch up with their Sven, and trying to build up damage. Like, there is a Chrysalis up in Jackie for that Silver Edge. Still a ways off from the full item up. Lun does find the Roshan up. Roshan number 2 with a shard. They could try to make their way down now if they wanted to, but a bit scattered out on YG for now. So maybe start collapsing there after shoving out the waves a bit more. Motivate.Trust do not have the best vision outside. They do have a nice ward right behind Roshan in the triangle, but not anywhere near the Roshan itself. So they could get caught off guard. But it is a hard Rosh fight to force. Because of the Chrono, because of Arena, because of Cataclysm. There's still a lot of ways for Motivate.Trust to play there. But they eventually work their way in on YG, and now it's time to Motivate.Trust to read that movement. Looks like they're not really aware of it, although they will scout with Sunstrike.
They haven't got the Refresher Orb up yet either on Fearless. He's getting close, but not close enough to have the double Cataclysm, which it does feel like that's what you need right now. So they'll move in Q. He has the Chrono. Dust is there. Arena, though. Masteros, he gets caught in the Chrono. Q has no damage. He's trying his best. Jackie, he'll jump in. He'll try to steal the Roshan, and he does snatch it away, but they'll get the first life immediately. Onto the Venzor Rain, about to drop. Jackie, though, he's trapped in the pit. He'll have to man-fight Hal, but Hal, he's a real Giga Chad right now. I don't know if you want to fight him. In fact, Skill Lay will do the job. Hal literally turns his back on Jackie. That's how confident he was. Jackie could not fight back. Is in mid lane, oh, that is a great arrow. Skill Lay landing an amazing arrow onto Masaros. And you know, John, maybe this pause 4 Void wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah, they're not quite coordinated in the execution for Motivate.Trust. The Chrono came out. I don't know if the Cataclysm was ready on Fearless, as he did Sunstrike earlier to scout. And then the Arena came off at a really awkward time as well. They needed the damage output from someone to kind of help in the Chrono. They at least stole Aegis, so they can kind of defend here. They've been stalling out really well with the Terrorblade illusions. And the creep waves have been sort of cut off by Fearless beforehand. So bot wave shoved in, mid is slowly trickling on, but it does feel like they have enough to at least stop that. Oh.
Zorain trying to catch Q. The Void arrow gonna follow up. They'll have him. Onto the tier 3 tower. The buybacks are still there. And they are delaying it with Hal. Cataclysm gonna fly through. Damage is just not gonna be there. Lun survives. Eventually they get the kill, but Fearless needs to back the hell out. And he will. Back onto the tier 3 tower they go. You've got Jackie back up now on the Sven. Does he have the damage though? For now, it doesn't feel like it. Hal, he's gonna sit back. God's Strength still 5 seconds away. In fact, now it's up. Yes. Arrow, though, Fearless. It is going to land. He tries to refresh, but he's going to drop. Masaros, he's the next one to go down. And Jackie, he's being chased right now by young PH. Set Zero, he will not be able to get back to the fountain. He just runs circles around him, quite literally. I love the BM play here from young PH as they're onto the tier 4 towers now. Oh, I do appreciate the confidence. Remnant forward. How do you defend as Motivate? They've got the God Strength up. Arrow is going to fly through. Masteros, he's going to have to tank it. Jackie, who'll have to get the job done himself. But the Sunder is there from Hal. He pops a Satanic Q. Nice Chrono. Will allow Jackie to... No, it won't. Jackie doesn't have the attack range. So Hal, he'll just get back to it. And in we go. Onto the Sven. He has the buyback. He'll commit it. But without God Strength, how do you really fight back? The answer is you don't, John. This is GG. They call it.
Yeah, all off the back of that swap play onto Fearless. Once that Invoker is down with no buyback, they just didn't have it. And Motivate.Trust, they held on for a long time. They held on as long as possible, but they don't manage to really execute the draft they wanted. Like, they went for that support Void. The timings were sort of there, but not quite. And they were punished really hard. Yangon, they had really good lanes coming through. It looked a bit slower at the start. Magic Missile plus Arrows, not really the best combination. But down the line, once they had Frostbite, once they had Swap, it started to become a lot easier, and the aggression did pay off. Motivate.Trust, they tried to make that Faceless Void support work. I don't think the Sven was the core to really make that work. Like, they had the Invoker, sure. You needed a range core that could play with the Chronosphere, and the Sven was their answer. It just didn't contribute as much.
Well, nevertheless, I mean, you've got to give props to YG, John. They had a spectacular game, and even if you believe it's a misdraft from Motivate, I mean, it's still Motivate.Trust they're up against. And you look at How 13-0-7 on the TB, but more for me, Young PH really set up the game for them on the Ember. 16-3-16. His early game just went really just splendidly, and overall, he just controlled the output of the game. In fact, he even had a Dagon 2 in the bag at the end. So a bit of a flashy young man we have in Young PH. We'll keep our eyes on him, see how he does go in the future. For now, though, we are going to have our next series of the night. It is going to be AG versus DM. Now, these two teams. One of them should allow Dawnbreaker, John. So let's hope that one of these two teams allow it to go through. It is MLP and johnxfire, and we are going to head to a 15-minute break. But right after that 15-minute break, we'll be back with Game 1 between Army Geniuses and Dreammaker.